Juice WRLD's final and posthumous album, The Party Never Ends, came out last Friday. I've had over a weekend to now sit with the album and listen to it plenty of times. I appreciate the over 1,000 people that were in the live stream watching us react to the album, and my reaction is up on my second channel on YouTube right now if you want to go check it out. We're going to do a track-by-track breakdown of this album, tier list style, right here for you guys before we jump into things. Subscribe to both of my channels. I have a Discord. Join that. Follow me over on Twitch.
Relax and let the party start.
First thing I want to say was this was an album that had so many roller coasters and so many times that we thought it was going to drop in the last over 3 years, and we finally got it now. And I think they did a good job of collabing with Fortnite, doing listening events and trying to release some pre-party EPs to get people hyped up for new Juice WRLD music after this long wait. I can't say the album was 100% fully worth that wait, or 100% perfect to honor Juice's legacy and make that impact on the final album to send him off. Obviously there's that whole thing where they kind of chose Benny Blanco to be more of the executive producer and put the album together rather than Max Lord, who I think possibly would have gave us a better album. But either way, this is what we got. I don't want to complain about it. I feel like I had to say what I had to say like in my reaction video, and I've actually listened to the music and I think the album sounds better now a couple days later. Let's jump into my tier list.
Party by myself because
But the first track is The Party Never Ends, aka In the Dark. I definitely like the concert clips that they tried to incorporate throughout the track list, and it started off right here. But the song isn't the most replayable because it's a shorter intro that has a very unique instrumental, but really doesn't, end up being too rewarding. Juice is telling you to get excited for the party. The lyrics match perfectly, so I think it was a cool intro, but it's not meant to be like the best song. I think it's a solid B tier. I might possibly move that one to A tier. Misfit, this one definitely grew on me a lot, and I can't lie, it's kind of that classic catchy chorus Juice WRLD song. I actually really like the lyrics and the topic of this, where Juice doesn't fit in. He's a misfit, and I feel like this is a song that maybe would tackle that concept of the outsiders that he was working on before he passed away. But I think this was a cool track. All Girls Are the Same Too, which in my opinion kind of has to be a B tier, because when you get posthumous features like Nicki Minaj, it's gonna be hit or miss for people. It took me a second to understand kind of Juice's interpolations of his past songs, but it's actually a very bright and upbeat song, kind of a pop rap single that I think is super replayable. I don't mind Nicki's part. I think Juice is by far like the best part of the track though. I really hate the title All Girls Are the Same Too. I think that was a terrible decision. Probably wasn't the best single. I mean, there's a few tracks on this album where you could debate like, hey, this is the final album. Did these deserve a slot in that 19 track album? For instance, like a Lace It, which I think is a great single actually. I think it's really overhated from, I believe, last December. It's been pretty old that we've been able to listen to it for a while. We have Eminem on there, which his verse was super cool, how he's giving us a message, to the youth, to be careful with those drugs and how you choose to use them and how it affected him and his career, because it's affected Eminem for so much. I really liked his message. He was perfectly on topic. I don't really know if an old single is what I wanted. I guess on the album, again, I'm talking about, do we need some of these songs on the track list, or would we rather get those like famously great Juice leaks or new other songs to fulfill the track list? And that's kind of the only thing I have to debate about it, is does it make a sense right here? I'm gonna go ahead and put Cuffed up at A tier. I think this is kind of like that hype Juice style that a lot of people wanted, with fun ad-libs being thrown at you, and super replayable tracks like this is what really the people wanted. I think the next section of the album we're gonna start to move into, the next few songs, is one of the best portions on the album. But there's a few leaks on the album too that I had never heard. I've just never heard every single leak. There's like 1,000 out there at this point. Then the song they just added on after the Fortnite event is Empty Out Your Pockets, which is a really good breath of fresh air because I love the nice piano beat in it, and it's only one of those one verse kind of songs. I think Juice does a really good job performance wise, better than most of the songs on here, I can't lie. And when you get an unheard song kind of debuted with this Fortnite event, it's a really cool way to let us hear a new Juice track, and I think they did a great job with that release. I think it's a great song on the album. I knew the first time I heard it that it was definitely better than like a handful of stuff on this album. KTM Drip, I've always said this in my videos, this is one of my all-time favorite Juice songs, not even just hype Juice songs, but I just love that they kept all 3 verses in there. Juice is just really unhinged and raps about whatever. It's just one of those fun tracks that's infectious. If you saw my reaction, I'm spinning around this room going crazy. I think it still might be like probably my favorite song on here. It's just too hard to beat, but there's a few songs that I did spoil for myself because I've been playing them as leaks, but that song right there is just a great choice for the album, you know what I mean? I'm not mad by any means that I've been listening to that song for like well over a year now, or whenever it leaked. Then you have Love Letter, which I think is one of the more catchy songs on there, with the kind of rhyme scheme being letter, letter, let her Let Her. But it's another one of those beats that just kind of makes you want to get up and dance, and I think it was a perfect song to come after KTM Drip. I think this song is super overhated. There might be a couple songs on here that they maybe tweaked the beat or however they wanted to structure the album, but they've done that for a lot of, you know, posthumous Juice WRLD releases, so we're kind of used to it at this point. I think this song, since I first heard it, I just love the energy, and this is the type of stuff we wanted on The Party Never Ends. We didn't want a sad, depressing album, and I think they did mostly a good job of doing so. You could tell the label picked a lot of those 2018 type of songs because that's back when Juice would use a lot of those auto-tune melodies and stuff. You hear that on a few tracks, and especially when Benny Blanco's kind of overseeing the album, and you have guys like Lil Baby who really like those older songs or the sadder songs, you know what I mean? The album's gonna cater to it just slightly. Personally, for me, Condone It, I'm not gonna lie, is a C. Now, I have to openly admit, guys, this album might be an album where I favorite pretty much every track, but it doesn't mean they're skips or they're bad. I just really don't think this is too much of a great song. It's just not really, in my opinion, the lane of Juice music that I wanted that much. I think this one was a leak, so I had never heard it before, and I just don't see this one being as catchy as the other ones, or having a beat that really excites me. There's a couple instrumentals on this album, I can't lie, that are fairly basic, but you know, Juice WRLD's music in terms of lyrics and instrumentals he picked, I mean, he only had a couple years to make music in 2018 and 2019 before he could enter that next step, you know, as an artist. And sometimes you hear leaked songs from him or release stuff where the beats aren't even all, you know, that great. And you know, I'm glad that they picked a lot of DT and Nick Mira stuff on this album, because there was, you know, good moments on like an Empty Out Your Pockets production wise. But I just think Condone It is one of the more dull songs on the album, but it starts to work its way and transition now into the slower part of the album, where Juice kind of up on stage honoring legends and naming all these other artists who had passed, which he'd do in concert, and it moves into now this kind of interlude, or you know, a track to remember Juice by, letting Leroy take over now for one song with Goodbye. I can't even lie, I might be completely biased at this point now. I'm ready to say like Juice had to pass that torch to Leroy. I found out who Leroy was because of Juice, because he was going on that tour and started releasing music late 2019. I'm realizing how hard this tier list though is going to be able to make. I think I'm gonna have a lot of A tiers. I really do expect myself to continue to put a lot of stuff in A tier, because it's not like the greatest, you know, Leroy song either, but I love where it is at in the track list. You know, some people aren't gonna like it because they don't want a Leroy song on a Juice WRLD album, but I think this was actually well done. I really want to know when it was made, but obviously this is kind of him saying goodbye to Juice WRLD, and it's just really sad because he's gone in detail on like a Where's Your Spirits Go, which is also another very sad song from Leroy. This kind of hits home and becomes full circle because Juice had mentored and taught, you know, Leroy, and had helped him bring him up as a young man, as a young artist. I've put Goodbye in A. I actually don't mind this kind of one song tribute on the final Juice album. It makes sense to me, in my opinion, as a Leroy fan. Then the perfect song to follow this up with, that I was really hoping was going to drop on this album if they needed a sad song, is Party by Myself. Oh my goodness, this is peak Juice WRLD, especially with those background vocals elevating you. This is also a song that I think Juice made, you know, closer to his passing, where it shows us kind of where he's moving into, but Juice had always been so vulnerable in his music, and I think he shows that on this track. I think this is a phenomenal pick. This is one that I have heard for a while now as a leak that I always wanted to drop. Adore You is up next. You get one of those songs that kind of focuses more on the love side of things, which I didn't really mind. For some reason, this song just isn't as replayable as I've wanted it to be. It is a good song. I actually really like the chorus. I find that getting stuck in my head, but for some reason the song, I don't know what it is, I just seem to go back to the other ones slightly more. It's a cool album song. I'm gonna have to go ahead and put Celebrate in the C tier. This one obviously had Offset on it. I'm a big fan of him and I liked his verse, but you know, it's one of those like rap songs that meets the criteria. I just don't think it's like the craziest Juice performance or just the craziest song in general. I don't really mind it being on the album. I'm gonna bump it with the album, but I am realizing that I have a lot of other favorites over Celebrate, and nothing really insanely crazy happens on this track, I can't lie, but it's not one that I'm really mad at them releasing. The one that I'm mad at them releasing is Jeffrey, which this is like one of the oldest leaks in the book from like back before Juice even passed. And it's weird because I'm just listening to the song in the shower. Juice does a good job. It's just like, how do you take a song that seems like it's completely just ripped from SoundCloud? The mixing is off. You know, when you're making a final album for Juice WRLD, you just can't have a song that you go to that's like the quality just downgrades it. It felt exactly like Feline on Fighting Demons. You just have this one song in the track list where you're like what quality is this? And it makes it a little frustrating because I want the final Juice album to be done with care, and you know what I mean? And it felt like they ignored that on the last couple albums on a couple songs. It really annoys me, but I have to put it at B because I can't lie, I don't care if it's about Jeffrey Dahmer, like this shit is good. It's a good performance. Also, I know we had a lot of other options, but at least we have possibly a deluxe on the way. I'm gonna have to go ahead and throw Barbarian in B. I might actually end up raising that one. I could be disrespecting that song because it had one of the more unique flows that I actually really liked. There's things that happen on this song, like, you know, Kobe bars a couple times on this album, that lyrics like that are just outdated and there's nothing that Juice can really do about it. But I will say, when you compare this, you know, to the album of the years in 2024, like there's moments like that where it's just like you can only put this album so high. I'm gonna get killed for this one, but Best Friend actually might be an S tier. I think it's just lyrically a really cute song, you know, and I feel like it's one that I can really relate to in my life right now from Juice's performance. I am a huge fan of pop rap Juice WRLD songs. I think this is way better than All Girls Are the Same Too. When I heard that Fall Out Boy feature that they were invited on the track, when I heard those vocals for the first time, it just brought me back to like 10 years ago listening to this as a kid. I know my friend who reacted to the album with me was right there with me listening to some of their tracks back in the day. So we love this song, and you know, when they add features on, like it can go either way. I just think a lot of you kids don't even know who Fall Out Boy is or what they've done. And lyrically, like I said on the album, Juice stays on topic, and it's something that I can relate to right now in my life, you know, arguably the most. So I think those are valid reasons all to why I'd put this song in S tier. I've really found myself bumping it a lot. I have to put Floret at the A tier. I kind of like Juice talking about, you know, his record deal. I think it's a good performance on here. It's one of those songs that mentions like Ali Lottie, which really sucks because we all know, you know, what she's done with OnlyFans and cocaine. And I think this was a great pick for a Juice WRLD song. I cannot lie, man. These are the type of album songs I want. I think I got so many just good Juice WRLD songs here. There's only a few that really went to that next level. You know, it's not, you know, Juice's best album by any means, but I've really started to warm up to a lot of songs like Floret and a lot of other stuff on this track list. Oxycodone, I think another solid performance from Juice. The drums really stick out. I know I like Floret better and a couple other ones in A, so I think it's a solid B tier. I would say, you know, A and B is very close. S and A are very close. I mean, this isn't a very easy album to rank, minus maybe KTM Drip and Party By Myself. I always knew were like my 1 and 2. Juice was just a master at melodic rapping, and he had so much potential. I think songs like Oxycodone really show that. And I love that some of these songs later on in the album have also grown on me, like this track that I was kind of just not really impressed by too much, you know, on my first listen. The last song, Spend It, is slightly frustrating because, don't get me wrong, it's fun to have Juice on a Zaytoven beat. I know they tried to wind it down and have an outro. I mean, the last words on the album are "suck my." But I think Juice is inspiring, you know, at the end of the album, that concert skit, and I like how they added those in. Spend It isn't like the craziest song. It makes me a little bit sad, but I think there's way better options. We all wanted, you know, Good Times / All Lifelong, whatever you want to call it, with Kid Cudi as the last song, so it makes it a little frustrating that there is kind of just this other, you know, chill melodic rap song to wind down the album. It didn't really feel as much of an outro or make me cry like I really wanted it to. But I do have to put it just in B tier, just barely. I can't lie, it has grown on me a lot, minus it being the last song on the album. But like I said, this album's track list isn't 100% perfect by any means. Bringing up my tier list for all the album reviews that I do, I'm gonna put this album in the good tier. You know, it is still a Juice album. There's a lot of songs I'm bumping on here. I think this album could have gone a lot of ways after a long wait, but this is the album that we got, and I think it is finally time and makes sense to close that chapter of Juice WRLD albums and look back at his catalog, at all those songs we love, and just be grateful that he made all of these songs and was such a talented artist. It really changed a lot of our lives too, and it's unfortunate I never really got to see him in concert, but at least I got to hear a few moments on the album, so that was cool. Comment down below your guys' favorite songs on the album and what you guys think of my review. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end of the video. I have a Twitter, Instagram, go check me out there. Like I said at the beginning of the video, join my Discord, follow me on Twitch. I'll catch you guys with more videos soon, more Juice content. Peace.